There's nothing average about the Air Force Academy or those who come here.
It takes more than smarts and good grades.
It takes grit.
It's for the I never quit students, the relentless, persevering, most likely to keep trying until I reach my best students.
Because we will go on to lead others, push boundaries, save lives, and represent American ideals.
If you've got what it takes, prove it.
Capt Hightower, the Chief of National Recruiting at the Air Force Academy. In the admissions office, we work to recruit the nation's best and brightest young adults to shape the future classes at the Air Force Academy. So I'm a 2014 graduate from the Academy, and one of my favorite parts of being an Academy grad was being surrounded by like-minded people. All of the cadets here really put forth their best effort and hold themselves to a high standard. But not only that, they hold the people around them to a high standard as well. And when you're in a group like that, everyone is going to grow together. Another great thing about the Academy is that it's tuition free. So unlike a lot of my peers that I graduated high school with, I had no college debt when I graduated and commissioned from the Air Force Academy. In addition to that, our alumni is amazing. From astronauts to politicians to doctors, lawyers, CEOs, you name it. Our alumni is incredible, they're easily accessible, and again, just another way of helping us grow together.
We don't rise every morning and hope to do the same things we did yesterday. We don't resolve to remain the same. Our minds expand with every person we meet, every place we travel, and every time we step outside of our comfort zone. The more we grow, the farther we dare to go. The only question is, how far will that be? We come to the Air Force Academy because we want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. We want to be challenged like never before. We don't expect it to be easy. We don't even want easy. In 1955, Air Force Secretary Harold E. Talbot said, "The Academy is a bridge to the future." This bridge is not laid out in front of us like a red carpet. It's a long, blue line started by the cadets who have come before us. We look to it to see how far we've come, but also to acknowledge how much farther we have to go. As a nation, we've always fought for freedom, but we still struggle to guarantee equality. We've seen what happens when we fail to listen to each other, and worse, when we don't even try. Our academy is not perfect either. Our history is proof. Until the 70s, we only had a handful of cadets of color in any class. It took 20 years and a presidential order for us to admit our first women. Some of us have experienced racism or heard inappropriate jokes in our halls. These failures weaken that long blue line. Where we go from here is up to us, because with every failure, there's opportunity. So let's take a long, hard look at ourselves, have the tough conversations, and lead the way. The more willing we are to understand and respect backgrounds and beliefs that are different from our own, the stronger we'll become. This ideal is not a finish line. It's a North Star we follow. The faces around here have changed over the years, but our graduates have always inspired others. They have fought bravely in wars, stood on Olympic podiums, served in Congress, and flown in space. These achievements are a testament to our own potential and inspire us to aim higher. Soon we will have the opportunity to be the new faces leading the way, and they will be the most diverse to date. Some call that progress, but it's just the beginning, because we can't represent the best of America if we don't look like America. We can't defend the rights of every citizen if we don't stand up for the rights of our fellow cadets. If one of us is disrespected, we are all disrespected. The Academy is a pillar of leadership. Airmen have led our society before, and we must lead the way today. We have the power to shape what the Air Force and Space Force become. Our fellow airmen and guardians are counting on it. It's an incredible honor, but an even bigger responsibility. The Academy helps cadets to live honorably and to become the leaders our country needs. It's up to us to show the world who that is. We're taught to always look to the future, but first we need to recognize where we are right now. We can't move forward without looking at where we stand. So let's stand for each other before anything else. The more we treat each other with dignity and respect, the higher we'll rise. They say it's lonely at the top, but we wouldn't know. Because we're all up here together.
As you can see behind me, the Cadet Honor Code is we will not lie, steal, or cheat, nor tolerate among us anyone who does. The Honor Code really serves as a basis for trust and respect among cadets within the wing, and going forward serves as a foundation for how we conduct ourselves as officers. While I was a cadet at the Academy, I could very easily leave my phone, wallet, keys on my desk, leave the door open, and not be concerned about someone taking my things, because we have that basis of trust and respect.
Warrior ethos is the whole embodiment of the warrior spirit. Tough-mindedness, tireless motivation, an unceasing vigilance, a willingness to sacrifice for one's country. At the United States Air Force Academy, we are developing resilient leaders, ready to fight and win in the air, space, cyberspace, and beyond. We are committed to a mission that is far greater than ourselves, where our performance has lasting consequences. We know that our training and education is uncommon, and that pushing our physical and mental limits now will be the key to our success when it matters most. Our warrior ethos is a demonstration of the physical and moral courage we will need to lead the world's premier air and space forces into a complex future. We cannot quit, and we cannot accept failure, because our nation is counting on us to win.
In regards to admissions requirements for the Academy, we're looking for individuals who are academically competitive, who are also physically qualified and can meet the requirements of the candidate fitness assessment. You must be medically qualified, and you also must show a good background in character and leadership. And lastly, you need that congressional nomination. The application process can be pretty tedious, but in admissions we like to say you must complete to compete, which simply means complete your full application so that you can compete for a spot here. So the first thing that makes the Air Force Academy such a unique experience is definitely the diversity here. We have cadets from nearly every congressional district of the United States, including international cadets. And when you bring together such a diverse group of people from all different backgrounds, walks of life, ethnicities, religions, you get diversity of thought. And that breeds innovation, and it also breeds compassion for our fellow human. The next thing that makes the Academy such an incredible place is definitely our outstanding academic opportunities. We are the #3 public college in the United States and also the #1 undergraduate research institution. We have some of the best engineering labs and facilities in the country. In addition to that, our airmanship programs, of course. We have soaring, powered flight, and free fall jump. Every cadet will get to participate in at least one of those airmanship programs while they're here at the Academy. So while there are many different sources to commissioning, the Academy is definitely one of the most challenging ones, but also one of the most rewarding. So if you are looking for a challenge, this is the place you want to be.
Air Force ROTC is the pathway to become a commissioned officer while you're going through college.
I'm Captain Nick Henderson, and I'm currently an Air Force ROTC instructor. The people that we're looking for in the ROTC program are people that are driven, people who are motivated to do something bigger, people who want to serve their country, who are physically fit, who are smart, who are able to make decisions on the fly.
We have a certain presence on campus. They make no mistake to let us know that we are representing something much bigger than us.
We're loud and we're proud, and we bring our shoulders back, chest out. That kind of mirrors, how we feel about ourselves as the best Air Force in the whole entire world.
We have 3 levels of the ROTC program. We have your General Military Course or your GMC. You'll learn as a freshman the basics of what it means to be in the Air Force. Then you'll go on into your sophomore year where you'll learn more about the leadership development portion. And then you'll go on to field training over the summer.
Field training is basically the Air Force ROTC equivalent of basic training. It's a training environment where you're going to be evaluated under pressure, and they're going to see if you have what it takes to continue in the program.
That transition from your sophomore year over to your junior year to the professional officer course is where you really find out who you are as a leader and develop your leadership and find out why you're really here.
Finally, in your senior year, you learn everything that you need to know about being officers in the Air Force.
Some of the benefits of being an ROTC, I would say they definitely enhance your leadership skills. Your time management's gonna come along with that as well, and your professionalism. And at the same time, it keeps you physically fit.
Air Force ROTC is a big family. The moment you get into the program, you're considered a family member.
Joining an ROTC program, you have the opportunity to earn a scholarship and have your college paid for. Think about graduating from college without the debt that many Americans have today.
I think one of the best things is when you graduate, you already have a job. You act as a manager, you act as a guiding hand.
It's twofold. You graduate with a degree and have a job, and you will earn a commission at the same time to be officers in the Air Force. As an Air Force ROTC cadet, expectation is that you lead early and often, and that helps us grow you into the Air Force leader we need you to be.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Captain Joe Fraser here at the University of Georgia, Detachment 160. I'm one of the cadre members here on staff for the Air Force ROTC program. I've been in the Air Force for about 11 years, actually a little bit over 11 years now. I enlisted back in 2010. I came into the Air Force as a jet engine mechanic, or more commonly referred to as an aerospace propulsion technician. I absolutely loved that job. It gave me some really cool opportunities, taught me a lot about aviation that I didn't know, and showed me the passion and love that I would end up having working on aircraft. But since then, I've further moved on, and I commissioned by way of OTS, or Officer Training School. But I chose to come here into the ROTC world because when I was enlisted, I was actually an enlisted schoolhouse instructor for aerospace propulsion, teaching new airmen how to work on jet engines, how to tear down and build up fighter engines, to be specific. And while I was doing that job, I actually learned a real passion and love for teaching and mentoring new airmen and kind of shaping the future force. So that's kind of what I was looking for when I commissioned over and was looking for my special duty or developmental special duty on the officer side as an early captain. And I looked into ROTC program for that. I was familiar with the officer training school pipeline, having gone through it. So I wanted to get a look into the ROTC program, kind of the unknowns of it, and better understand it and work with cadets and shaping the future officer corps. So here at UGA, so the processes here at UGA, or one of the biggest questions about the processes that I get asked are, how do I join the program? How do I join ROTC? So while that might look a little bit different for us here at Detachment 160, the overarching concept for you going to any university out there is going to be pretty much the same, right? Is getting into the university, get accepted into the university, and showing up. There's no, application process. That's a common misnomer that we get, is that people reach out and they're looking for the application process. How do I apply to be a part of the program? Well, the phone call, the email, that's exactly it, right? Reach out to us, reach out to somebody in your local detachment at the university and let them know, hey, I'm interested in the program. I want to be a part of our Air Force ROTC. Especially nowadays, the Space Force is formed and it's up and running, and the accessions pipeline runs right through Air Force ROTC. So if you're interested in Air and or Space Force, this is the way to get there through ROTC. So what's unique here about the University of Georgia is we actually only take students that are accepted and currently fully enrolled as full-time students at the University of Georgia. But that is not the case for every university. For example, in the state of Georgia, we have 3 universities that have host units, one being University of Georgia, second is Georgia Tech, and then third is Valdosta State University. So you might ask yourself, well, how do I join Air Force ROTC if I can't get accepted into the University of Georgia? We are one of those unique cases, whereas Georgia Tech and Valdosta State University, much like many other universities and host units across the nation, have crosstown organizations. So say you want to do ROTC, but you can't get into Georgia Tech. Well, for example, I know of 2 off the top of my head, crosstown organizations that they have are Kennesaw State and University of West Georgia. So you can go to one of those 2 schools, or maybe multiple others that they have crosstown agreements with, while also commuting over to the host university to fulfill the requirements of Air Force ROTC. Secondly, the next question that I get asked about, or really it's a big unknown surprisingly, is the high school scholarship program. And that runs each year from June to January. So your senior year, going into your senior year of high school, keep an eye out for that. And the best resource is going to be airforcerotc.com, and it lists in detail the entire program and what you're going to need to do to make use of that program. Really, the program is a great program because it affords you the opportunity. So say you're selected, or you're awarded a scholarship. That scholarship is going to pay for, at a minimum, your first year of school, and there are no strings attached. You could go out to your university and your school, your detachment, your host detachment, and you could do Air Force ROTC for 1 whole year and decide, you know what, this isn't for me. And prior to starting classes in your sophomore year, you can step away from Air Force ROTC and you owe nothing back. As long as you do not start classes your sophomore year, you owe nothing back to the Air Force for having utilized that scholarship that was afforded to you. So it's a really, really cool program that I would encourage you to absolutely go look into and give an opportunity, give yourself a shot at it. And then lastly, another big one is it too late to join the program, right? So most folks think Air Force ROTC, they think a standard 4-year college program. Well, yes, that is true, but there are certainly case-by-case situations or scenarios where we have students, for example, more oftentimes than not, we have a lot of juniors walk into our office and say, hey, I've really decided that I want to take a stab at this ROTC thing. I've been wanting to join. I've really considered joining the Air Force or the military in general, and now I want to do it. Is it too late? And that really depends, right? It depends on how much school you have left, how much experience you might have had prior to, and that'll play a big factor into what program you can do. So traditionally, we try to keep everyone on the same 4-year structure, because that'll give you your 2 years as a general military college or course student, and then your 2 years after field training in the summer between your sophomore and junior year as a professional officer course cadet. But we understand and we are sensitive to the fact that not everyone fits the same mold. So I encourage you, reach out. If you're not sure, reach out. Go talk to your local detachment or host university that has an Air Force ROTC detachment and see what they can make work for you. Because I'm telling you, if you're motivated, you want to be here, and it's something you want to do, they will help you get to where you want to be.
This fall semester of my junior year, I sat next to a cadet for probably about 2 months. I just kind of turned to him one day because he was wearing a uniform, and I was like, are you in some sort of military program? And he was like, yeah, it's the Air Force ROTC program.
I'd see people marching around behind all the time and getting yelled at and all that fun stuff. And I thought, okay, this is something I want to do. About a week before school started, and said, hey, is this too late for me? I'm a sophomore here. I want to sign up. What do I need to do? I haven't looked back since. It's been probably the best decisions I've ever made.
One day we were touring the campus, and my sister had gone through ROTC. She's like, you should just check it out. Go to the ROTC detachment, see what it's like. And I was at first very against it, Went 1 week and still wanted to quit. My mom's like, just give it 1 more week. Ended up like going to all these dinners with people on my flight, ended up falling in love with the program, falling in love with the mission, and it's just something I kind of developed into. I had no plan, but it got me on a path to where I am now, so.
I wanted to come back to ROTC. I was an ROTC graduate, North Carolina State University, but I wanted to come back to this environment and help build the next generation of leaders. So the ROTC program is it's a 4-year program. The freshman and sophomore curriculums are really about teamwork, followership, and then transition into leadership and management techniques, management styles. So again, personalities, conflict management, conflict resolution, different things that you'll experience as a leader of a team. And we go through examples of things that have happened. We have a really diverse cadre. So we bring those lessons into the classroom and really try to impress upon cadets those things that we learned and to help to bring them up to that level so that they're ready to face a wide variety of challenges.
The second that I stepped into Lieutenant Colonel Jones' office, and he's a C-130 pilot, we started just talking about ROTC, and he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I kind of took a second, and I was like, well, I think I want to be a pilot. And he was like, okay, good.
I'd love to get to the point where you're kind of working on a bigger scale. Obviously, operational is great, but there's a lot more than that, so it'd be nice to have kind of a view okay, this is what it takes to run a wing or something like that.
I'd like to be a leader that leads by example. I would never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do myself, is kind of something I want to keep doing throughout my years, and hopefully even more so once I go out to duty.
All of the skills that I'm learning here, which I probably wouldn't have, at least maybe not to the degree, are just making me to be the best person that I can be, to be able to, one, serve my country, but just to be a valuable member of this society in general.
Whenever they come into our program as a young high school graduate, ambitious, but not the most disciplined a lot of the time, we're turning them into lieutenants. And they're ready to go and lead flights and lead airmen and accomplish the mission whenever they leave this program.
Once I came into ROTC, it was just the phrase of get outside your comfort zone, try something new, step outside the box, and eventually did. And going from super shy person to CTA is a very drastic change. So I think a lot of it's just growth into who I am and being more confident in myself. So that's a big growth aspect of, I think, this program.
I think everything's presented as, okay, here's a teachable moment, you messed up, I'm going to tell you messed up, and then here's how you can go forward and fix it in the future. But it's really showed me to say, hey, you're here, fail now so that you don't fail later on. It's okay to fail. Right now the stakes are pretty low, right? At the detachment level, nothing too bad's going to happen. But if you push that up further and you fail when you're on active duty or you're in a plane and you have guys in that plane with you, then that's when stuff matters. So I think it's all about learning how to fail now and move on from that.
I think everyone has a story, everyone has a path. I don't think leadership development could be defined into one or put into one definition. I think it's being a person that's more open-minded, a person who cares, a person who looks at the development of not only themselves but others around them. It's kind of just altering the mindset of, rather than the selfishness that I feel like we tend to have, it's kind of more of the outward, caring for others and caring about everyone.
So this opportunity is really giving me a chance to develop new skills. And the course curriculum, it's almost like I'm going back to, being in the seat, whether it's stress management, conflict management, interacting with teams, team dynamics. It's really great, and I'm taking away a lot from the curriculum just personally, and I try to impart that back on the cadets as well. It's all about teamwork and building the best leader that we can, both for this program, because as they come back from field training, they lead this program, and then to go on and lead in tomorrow's Air Force. So my goal every day is to come in and make these cadets better than I ever was, better than I ever could be, and build that next generation.
Hey guys, I'm Cadet Johnston. I'm currently a 300 or a junior at the University of Georgia. We are Det 160, we're the Flying Bulldogs. I currently major in statistics. I started off as a meteorology major because my interest is in being a pilot, specifically a fighter pilot. Hopefully F-16Cs, but we'll see whichever airframe I get. I'll be happy with it, even if it's cargo planes. I think I'll love it. And the reason I switched from meteorology to statistics is because I heard that it was pretty difficult to get a pilot slot from the meteorology background. So I had to switch, unfortunately, to statistics, but it's a good major, I think, and it's going to teach me a lot. And I recommend it to anyone who's maybe not completely mathematically inclined, but they'd also like to keep a STEM degree. And that's why I kept it, because I'm on a scholarship. I have the HSSP, the High School Scholarship Program scholarship. It's a Type 7. If you haven't heard anything about that and you haven't gone to college yet, I highly recommend you look into it. It's very helpful. They help you out with everything from books to your tuition. Even if you're out of state, in state, it's all the same pretty much, and highly recommend you look into it. So I've wanted to be a pilot since I was about 2 or 3 years old. My grandfather flew F-4s and F-16s in the Air Force, and his father, he flew B-29s, B-36s, and then B-52s, all in the 40s and 50s. And so he was around a lot of crazy stuff, from the end of World War II to even a lot of the Cuban Missile Crisis. He had a very, very big part in a lot of that stuff, and that's really what piqued my interest early on. And ever since, it's been kind of what I've wanted to do. Towards the end of high school, I was wondering about whether or not I wanted to continue on working towards a military career, because I was just concerned about some of the aspects of what that would entail. And after a lot of prayer and a lot of thought about it, I decided that this is where I should go. And I was lucky enough to actually win a high school scholarship. I was looking into the Air Force Academy also, but the thing that didn't completely interest me there was that it's just, you're at the Air Force Academy, you are a cadet like 100% of the time. And the great thing about ROTC is you can still live a very, very normal college life. Whatever that means to you, you can still do it in any ROTC program. And I'm really glad I chose Det 160. I was also looking at Auburn and Clemson, but I decided to go to Georgia because it's in-state, and I'm from North Atlanta. Basically where I'm from in North Atlanta is basically the last exit on the interstate of the suburbs there. So you go any more north than where I'm from, and then you got all the trees, all the Blue Ridge Mountains, all that really cool stuff is right outside my back door.
Hey y'all, I'm Alexis Gunerman. I'm a cadet at Detachment 160, which is located at the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia. I'm from Warner Robins, which you may know, it has a MAGCOM, Robins Air Force Base, and I grew up going to the base, going on base. My dad is retired from the Air Force. He was a KC-135 pilot for 20 years, and he also flew Air Force 2 for a little while. So I know a lot about living on base, base culture, and that's part of what made me want to join the Air Force. I was brought up and raised in that environment, and I felt very, very accepted, very supported in everything and anything I wanted to do. So I really enjoyed that part about the Air Force, and that's something that I'm seeking out and part of why I'm joining. Other things I do now that I'm currently in college, I'm a triathlete, which instead of being bad at one sport, I thought, why not be bad at 3? So it's swim, bike, and run. That just goes to show that just because I'm in ROTC or just because you're in ROTC doesn't mean that that's all you do. You can do other things outside of ROTC. I also have a job. I'm a barista at a local coffee chain in town. I really enjoy my job, and I make sure that I balance it with my work life and my workload within ROTC. So you can really do anything that you put your mind to, as long as you can balance it. What I want to do in the Air Force is I want to eventually become an astronaut, but first I want to be a test pilot. I've always wanted to go to space. I think space is just so unique and vast, and it's unlike anything else you can experience on Earth. There's obviously zero gravity simulators, but until you're actually in space and just kind of floating around, you're not going to know exactly what it's like. What drew me to the University of Georgia, ever since I was a kid, I'd always wanted to come here. Our school has a great reputation for football and academics, and I just wanted to be a part of the culture. In Georgia, there are only 3 universities that have ROTC, so it's kind of perfect that I wound up picking the one with Air Force ROTC.
Hi y'all, I'm Capt Hasty, a cadet here at Detachment 160 at the University of Georgia. We're located in Athens, Georgia. I'm an electrical engineering major going into my senior year. I also have a pilot slot, and my goal is to fly fighters, more specifically F-22s, but I'm also happy to fly any airframe I'm able to have that opportunity to use. ROTC has been a really awesome part of my college experience. It has given me the opportunity to have a really great core of friendships. It's definitely developed me into the person I am today. Looking back on wide-eyed, scared Graham freshman year coming into this huge university versus who I am now going into my senior year as the vice wing commander of our detachment, there's a stark difference and contrast between the confidence of that younger Graham versus the Graham I am today. This program is really awesome. It provides tons of opportunities that I would have never been able to experience outside of Air Force ROTC. For example, the summer after my freshman year, I had the opportunity to go to the Air Force Academy, participate in their AM490 parachuting program, which is absolutely amazing, led by the Wings of Blue jump team. I got to take part in 5 free solo jumps, earning my basic parachutist badge, got my jump wings so I can flex on everybody else of the detachment with those. So that was a really great opportunity to network. Had another awesome chance to go to field training summer of 2020, despite everything that was going on. That was a really awesome opportunity. Tango Tigers, if any of y'all are watching this, shout out to y'all. Miss you guys. But that was another opportunity to continue to develop myself as a leader. I decided I wanted to do Air Force ROTC sometime probably sophomore year of high school. I had always known that I wanted to go into the military, and this seemed like the right fit for me. I knew I was going to come to this university, so I talked to the Army detachment that's here, and then I also talked to the Air Force detachment, and ended up deciding Air Force was the way to go for me, and I'm absolutely confident in that decision and can't wait to be a part of the bigger Air Force once I commission at the end of this year. For anybody who's considering to join Air Force ROTC, whether you're a freshman at your college already or you're in high school, I'd say go for it. If you're not going out for a scholarship to begin with, there's absolutely no commitment beyond showing up to your AIRS classes every week and then showing up to lead lab and PT and whatever other requirements your university has. And if you decide it's not for you, then no strings attached, you don't have to continue, but chances are you're gonna love it and you're gonna be able to continue in the program and have all kinds of amazing opportunities.
There are 3 commissioning courses: OTS, Air Force Academy, and also ROTC. I've decided on ROTC because it's I just do it while I am in college, and like I said, you can do it on the side pretty much while you're in college, and you still have a regular college life. And then as soon as you graduate college, as long as you graduate in good standing with your ROTC as well as your college, the instant you graduate, you're going to be a second lieutenant in the Air Force, and you're going to know what your job is right away. And Air Force Academy, you also commission the second you graduate, but it's more rigorous stuff, very Air Force based the entire time, not completely a separate college life. And then OTS is you don't do anything until after your college life, and then you go to like a 12-week course. I think it's either 9 or 12 weeks, and that's pretty difficult to get into. ROTC, as long as you're in good standing and stuff like that, you will get at least your chance to get your foot in the door and see how well you do. And if you put your effort into ROTC, you are going to get your best out of it. Whatever you want, you're going to get out of it if you do your best. So yeah, you get out what you put in for ROTC, and yeah, highly recommend it.
One of the awesome things about Air Force ROTC that I personally enjoy watching is the transformation of people. They come in as freshmen, they don't know barely anything about what we do, the expectations that they have for them, but they slowly start to get their footing. They start to work together as a team. They start to figure out what it means to be a leader, what it means to be a follower, what it means to take care of the people that are next to you. So they start to get those basic skills, and then they move into their sophomore year trying to prepare for field training during their FTP semesters, and they get even better and they get even closer and stronger. And then they come back from field training after doing an absolutely awesome job, and they're ready to run this detachment. They come in as AS-300s, and they're writing plans, they're executing the mission of our detachment under the leadership of our cadre and our seniors. And then ultimately they step into my shoes where they're gonna be the senior leadership among cadets, and they're gonna be setting the tone for what this detachment is going to be, building up that next generation of leaders, trying to develop who they're gonna be when they go out into that big Air Force as second lieutenants, hopefully being fully prepared to take on whatever challenges are gonna face them.
So it varies a little bit from detachment to detachment what your week is going to look like, but overall it's going to look like you have a PT, which is physical training. We have it here at Det 160. We do it twice a week at 0600, so that's 6 a.m. Tuesday and Thursdays, and that may take you back for a second, but I promise you get used to it real quick, and it's a lot of fun, and it's also a good workout. And on Tuesday afternoons, some detachments around the country, maybe it's Mondays, maybe it's Wednesdays, but here at Det 160 at Georgia, it's Tuesdays from going to be 4 to 6 or 3:30 to 5:30 for 2 hours, sometimes a little more than that. You go and you train and prepare for your field training, which you would do after your sophomore year, so halfway through your commissioning process. And what your first 2 years are going to look like is you are preparing for that field training and working hard at marching, learning how to salute, all the little things like that, like how to fold clothes, things that are important for field training. And then the next 2 years, your job is to make sure the cadets behind you are preparing for field training as well. If you're involved in any other auxiliary organization, so that's like Honor Guard or Honor Air Society or anything else that goes on, those are gonna be spread out throughout the week, just maybe meeting from 6 to 7 o'clock Monday nights here, there, or Honor Air Society has something called candidate class, which is kind of the thing you have to do to get inducted into it. That's going to be 1 night a week, be like 3 hours. Again, you do not have to do that, but it definitely is a good experience and I highly recommend it.
So one of the great things about RTC is that it really connects you with the community around you. I have volunteered at a local nature trail, been able to clean that up. I am volunteering for a bike race that's coming up, as well as I am participating in it. So RTC definitely presents you with a lot of opportunities. It's about what you want to do with those. So it's great if you like to go and seek out opportunities, but also maybe if you're a little more reserved or you don't really know what's going on, ROTC can definitely help you find your way and what you want to do when you're at your university. And I have met so many great people through the program, as well as people that aren't in the program that I've just been connected with through a volunteer event or some sort of a drive. It really has just helped me just get out there and meet more people.
Also, you have AIRS class, which is going to be, if you are a 100 or 200, so that's a freshman or a sophomore, you're going to have AIRS once a week, and that just depends on the time. The class is only about an hour long. It's pretty easy, just very basic stuff, learning about the background of the Air Force and the basics of it, and kind of some customs and courtesies and things like, learn about integrity, why that is important, and basic leadership skills that you will also work on in your leader lab. And then your 300 and 400 years, you will have your AIRS class twice a week for an hour. So that adds 2 hours to your schedule instead of 1 hour. And those you'll be in uniform, and they're a lot more hands-on, a lot more briefings and stuff like that. So they're both really helpful and really great, and you'll see what I mean if you decide to continue on, and it's really cool. And academics, we have a lot of people here that are doing some really tough majors. Maybe you think statistics is tough. I know it can be hard, but there's also ones like physics, mathematics, electrical engineering, ones that are really demanding for people, and it's very, very doable. Our vice wing commander is an electrical engineer major, and he's a smart guy, but he gets it done completely well, and it's never gotten into his RTC life or anything. And even if it does, our cadre understand. The cadre is the active duty commissioned officers and NCOs that oversee us here at Detachment 160. They are fully understanding, as is whoever your cadre would be at whatever day you are at. They're fully understanding of your needs as a college student first, and you should never put ROTC in front of your academics. Academics will always come first, because that is your purpose why you're in college in the first place. So electrical engineering, whether it's electrical engineering or something maybe a little easier, whatever you want to say that easy major is, it's all doable if you can handle it.
If you're thinking about joining Air Force ROTC and you're currently in high school, probably a sophomore or junior in high school, make sure you check out the HSSP High School Scholarship Program. That gives you an awesome opportunity to be able to come to Air Force ROTC at an amazing college and also get paid to do it, help you cover tuition, help you cover your university's fees, and you also get a monthly stipend as well as a book stipend to help you out with all of those different expenses throughout college.
Leadership development to me is more about knowing what's right and what's not, and what you can do at the end of the day to make sure that the people that came before you or the people that are to come after you know that a legacy was left and then it was done through a process. Because in my field, being in the university, I learned a lot about leadership because I've gone from working as a resident advisor to working as a peer educator and now working as a community coordinator for the department. So knowing how much of an impact I have on people and the things that I can pretty much not make them do but let them realize about themselves, is when they say they need help, they don't really realize what they're getting out of it until they step forward and try to fix themselves what they really need in order to succeed. Because you can tell yourself you want to be an engineer, but if you're not working for it, you might never be an engineer. So you work for what you need. I was born in Ghana, West Africa. I lived there for about 11 years, and then I moved to the US. The reason for why I stayed in Ghana for too long was to learn the culture and then the education out there, because my parents came through the same path. So they were like, it's better for you to be embedded into a culture of where we come from. I was able to come in and be humble. And then when it comes to leadership, I'm able to lead without having misconceptions about who a person is. I guess the things that are setting me up to be a good leader is the ability to relate to people. So getting commissioned into the Air Force as a second lieutenant is going to be a great achievement for me and my family, knowing that we're not just doing something for the betterment of ourselves, but doing something for the betterment of the society. As an engineer in the Air Force, I can utilize my skills in order to do something that I know is definitely going to impact the lives of the people around me. But I just need to make sure that whoever I'm coming in contact with, I'm able to help them. When I leave, it's more about a legacy, because at the end of the day, we're all doing something for a purpose. So the impacts that I make are what leads me into what I continue to do for my future.